This is the Election Bureau. Hello and welcome to the Channel One Newsroom. We are coming to you from the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center. My name is Adwoa Tenkoramaa Domena. Coming up. President Akufo-Addo assures smooth power handover as transition process begins.
To assure him of my full support and that of my government over the transitional process and outwards, to make sure that his administration takes off in the best of conditions. It is in the interest of all of us as Ghanaians that should happen.
Also coming up, Ghana police intensify post-election security and deploys more personnel to counter vandalism.
We have intensified joint patrols with the other security agencies across the country. We have also deployed our intelligence officers who are roaming through communities looking for perpetrators, and we will arrest every one of them that is involved.
NDC dominates Western region, winning 15 out of 17 seats and gains ground in Ashanti amid disputed results in 6 constituencies.
Per the results, you can see clearly that Ghanaians have chosen policies over slogans.
And later, Western Regional Security Council bans vegetable sales as cholera outbreak claims 8 lives with over 780 suspected cases. Coming up in CNR Business. Ghana's economy expands by 7.2% in third quarter of 2024.
In the third quarter of 2024, the economy stood at 48.2 billion Ghana cedis relative to 45.0 billion Ghana cedis that was recorded in the third quarter of 2024, indicating a 3.2 billion Ghana cedis increase between the third quarter of 2023 and the third quarter of 2024.
And you're welcome to the news. Today we're bringing the news to you from the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center, where the transition process from the NPP government to the National Democratic Congress government has begun. We'll revisit that, but let's begin the bulletin from the Jubilee House, where President Akufo-Addo has assured of a smooth transition process. Speaking to journalists after a meeting with President-elect John Dramani Mahama, both leaders pledged to play their respective roles in ensuring a smooth and seamless transfer of power. Channel One News' Sami Wiafe has the details.
Mr. Mahama and his team were ushered into the Jubilee House by President Akufo-Addo and the Chief of Staff. The two leaders held separate meetings on the economy, the state of the country's security, among others. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, President Akufo-Addo promised a seamless transition to ensure the peace and stability of the country.
But it was important that I have this meeting with him and members of his delegation for two things. First of all, obviously, to congratulate him on his remarkable victory, and to wish him and his administration the very best of luck. We have, for the first time in our life, a female vice president of the country, and that is a matter that should be celebrated by all of us. And then secondly, to assure him of my full support and that of my government over the transitional process and outwards, to make sure that his administration takes off in the best of conditions. It is in the interest of all of us as Ghanaians that should happen.
President-elect John Mahama on his part says his team will work with the government side of the transition team for a smooth transfer of power.
Mr. President has given me a brief on the security situation, both internal and external, and also a short brief on issues to do with the economy. Of course, the transitional teams will drill down further into these matters, but I am happy at the assurance he's giving us that we're going to work together in the interest of Ghana to ensure a seamless transition. And I believe that even after that transition, it will be necessary for us to continue to keep a channel of communication so that Ghana's democratic credentials are consolidated and we all work together in the national interest.
After about 30 minutes, the two leaders promised a seamless transition to ensure that the peace and stability of this country is maintained. President Akufo-Addo commended President Mahama for calling on persons perceived to be NDC supporters who have been attacking public institutions to desist. For Channel One News, my name is Sami Wiafe.
Now to the reason why we are here at the AICC forecourt. Now, after the declaration of John Dramani Mahama as president-elect, there has to be a transition of power from the current administration led by Nana Akufo-Addo to the next government by Mahama for the inauguration properly of January 7 to take place. Now, before this will happen, constitutionally, there is a mandate for a team to be set up or inaugurated to oversee this process, according to the Presidential Transitions Act 2012, Act 845. And that is what is going to happen here at the Accra International Conference Center, which team will supervise the process to ensure a seamless transition of power. My colleague Philip Nilate has the rest of the story.
The National Transition Team, a constitutional body tasked with overseeing the handover process, will play a pivotal role in ensuring a smooth transfer of power. This process includes briefing the incoming government on key state matters, facilitating access to crucial government data, and coordinating the formal inauguration of the president-elect. The members of the team appointed by John Dramani Mahama, the president-elect, include Julius Debra, co-chairperson, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, Fifi Fiabi Kwete, Dr. Kalistus Mahama, Dr. Valerie Sawyer, Professor Kwabena Ahoy, Dr. Kisel Atuforsen, Mahama Ayariga, Guzi Tano, and Dr. Edward Omani Boama. Additionally, the president-elect has nominated Right Honorable Edward Do Ajahu as a member of the Transitional Advisory Committee. On the government side, President Akufo-Addo has named the Chief of Staff, Akosia Frema Osei Opare, as the team's co-chairperson. Other key appointments include Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Osei Mensah Bonso, Minister for Finance Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, Minister for the Interior Henry Quartey, Minister for Defense Dominic Nitiwo, Minister for Foreign Affairs Shirley Ayoko Butwe, Minister for Local Government Martin J. Kosa, Minister for National Security Albert Kandapa. Additionally, the team will include Dr. Evans Agridako, Head of Civil Service, Dr. Nana Atu Arthur, Head of Local Government Service, Ambassador Mercy Debra Karikari, Secretary of the Cabinet, and Mr. Edward Asumeni, National Security Coordinator. Furthermore, President Akufo-Addo has appointed the former Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe, to the Advisory Committee, with the current Speaker, Right Honorable Alban Bagbin, serving as Chairperson. Speaking at the inaugural ceremony, President Akufo-Addo indicated that it will be prudent if members of the Joint Transitional Team approach the process with mutual respect, collaboration, and transparency.
This meeting is a reaffirmation of our shared commitment to the democratic principles that underpin our republic. This commitment is especially critical in the current context of West Africa, where the region faces threats from unconstitutional changes in government and the spread of terrorism and violent extremism. Ghana stands out as a beacon of democracy and stability, showcasing the strength of our institutions and the maturity of our people. It is imperative that we continue to consolidate this hard-earned reputation. By adhering strictly to the provisions of the Transition Act, we send a powerful message to the world that democracy thrives in Ghana, even in challenging times. As we embark on this transition, I urge all members of the team, both from the outgoing administration and the incoming one, to approach this task with a spirit of collaboration, transparency, and mutual respect. The people of Ghana are counting on us to prioritize their interests above all else. Let us not lose sight of our shared goal, safeguarding the freedom, peace, progress, and stability of our beloved nation.
President-elect John Dramani Mahama assured his full support alongside that of President Akufo-Addo to ensure the smooth execution of the transition process.
I wish to ask that we all be guided by the spirit behind the Presidential Transition Act to ensure a smooth and seamless transition. We may belong to different political parties, but we all belong to Ghana, and let the spirit of our nationalism and patriotism prevail. We call on the transition team to work expeditiously and within a modest budget, given the prevailing economic circumstances, even though Mr. President seems to strike a very upbeat tone on recent numbers. I'm sure the transition team would establish that. Mr. President, you can count on my respect and cooperation during and even after this transition.
Board Chair of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujimfi, noted that the process should be done devoid of issues.
Well, we're grateful to God that we can have this transitional team set up immediately after the election. I think it makes our transition smoother. And my expectation is that they will be able to put together a very smooth transition so that the new team can get to work as quickly as possible. There are several issues. If you look at all the challenges we've had post-election, a lot of things need to be put in place as quickly as possible to bring stability so that we can move on as a people.
And also touching on the post-election with what we are seeing in recent times, post-election violence. What is the Peace Council doing about it, and what will be the action that you call immediately must be taken against these violent acts?
Well, immediately our call, we've used several press releases calling on the public, those who are causing all the trouble, to stop these things. Let us have a very stable country. The elections are over. There's no need for us to be fighting each other. We need the peace of mind to move on as a people.
President Akufo-Addo and President-elect John Dramani Mahama have both pledged their support to ensure that the transitional process is executed smoothly. Reporting for Channel One News, my name is Philip Nee.
So we are here in the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center after that meeting between the two governments, that's the NPP government and the incoming NDC government. I have been joined here by the former Greater Accra chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Adekoka, for more on the outcome of this meeting. I know that all the various stakeholders have come for this meeting, but tell us what you, in your estimation, will constitute a peaceful transfer of power.
That is exactly what has happened today. Per the Constitution, a new government will have to hand over its administration to a new government. And this act was propagated by President Atamils because of the chaotic nature of the previous transfer, which was very short. So now we have a transition which is going to be seamless. The government to provide the relevant information to the new government, that is so that government is continuous, and it's a mark of the growth of our democracy. In other jurisdictions, after an election like this, you can see people all over the disagreeing and not accepting the results, and then there's complete chaos. But with this one, you have all seen what has transpired. And it is a very important landmark or a mark for Ghana, in the sense that the whole of West Africa and in Africa, beyond West Africa, we have proven that we are capable of handling our own internal and our own political circumstances.
So I've also been joined by the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam. He is also a member of the National Peace Council Board, Sheikh Amir Shaibu. Sheikh, thank you so much for
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Now, I know you have been in there, you've witnessed the process and all of that. Recently, we've seen several incidents of vandalism, of looting, people who are suspected members of the opposition party, ransacking certain key institutions. As a member of the Peace Council, and also you represent a key religious institution, what would you say to some of these incidents that we have had so far?
Yeah, so far I think that it is a very unfortunate incidents that we have heard about across the country, banning of some state facilities, office of the EC, some other polling stations, or what we call the coalition stations, destruction of election materials and other things, and the tension that we have witnessed, attempt to take over some government institutions by some people suspected, and I must underscore this, suspected to be members of the NDC, but there has suspicion, so there are some of them that also can be MPP. But whoever does it, what is wrong is wrong. And I think that what we witness now by way of the transition is to set the pace for us to understand that as a growing democracy, already we have a system in place that ensures that one government would hand over power to an incoming government smoothly. So there was no need to behave as if there was a coup d'etat. We are still one nation. Doing so actually deepens hate, great hate, and deepens animosity and further divides the country.
Still watching the Channel One Newsroom, broadcasting from the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center. Still ahead in the bulletin, Ghana Police intensify post-election security and deploys more personnel to counter vandalism. Please stay for details of this and other stories coming up shortly.
Introducing Rexona Non-Stop Protection 72-hour antiperspirant with breakthrough microtechnology that forms a stronger sweat barrier, tested to the limit, even during the most intense workout. Still clean.
On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I extend warm congratulations to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on his decisive election as the next President of the Republic. I also warmly congratulate Professor Nana Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, who has made history by becoming Ghana's first female Vice President-elect. A pioneering achievement that underscores the strides our nation is making toward gender equality and inclusivity in governance. I'd like to assure both of them of the full support of my government and myself for an effective transition, and wish them luck and God's blessings in the discharge of their high responsibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, the peaceful transition of power is a hallmark of mature democracies. Fortunately for us in Ghana, the foresight of the Fifth Parliament of the Fourth Republic has, with the adoption of the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, established for us a robust framework for managing transitions, safeguarding the gains of our democratic journey. Today, we reaffirm our collective resolve to adhere to the letter and spirit of this act and ensure that this transition proceeds seamlessly, transparently, and with dignity. On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I extend warm congratulations to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
It is now my distinct honor and privilege to invite the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to the podium for his response statement. Please, a louder round of applause. Let's welcome the President-elect.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency, the Vice President-elect, Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the Chief of Staff, indeed, let me say, distinguished guests, and stand on existing protocol. I want to thank His Excellency, the President, for his kind invitation this morning to visit the office of the President to discuss preliminary issues before the inauguration of the transition team this morning. I also want to thank him for the early briefing he gave me on issues of critical national importance in respect of national security and the economy. I want to congratulate him on superintending over what has been a successful election, and to congratulate the Security Service, the Electoral Commission, and all those who helped to make this election.
You're welcome back to the bulletin. Let's bring you some more stories. Now, following the concession of the New Patriotic Party flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the country has witnessed several acts of vandalism across various parts of the country, with members suspected to be from the opposition National Democratic Congress going into key government offices, including metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, to loot the places, ransack the places. My colleague Jude Mensah Duncan has a wrap of all the incidents that have happened and the reactions to them.
Ghana's democratic credentials were once again showcased as a shining example for other democracies in the aftermath of the December 7 election. The early concession by Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, barely 24 hours after polls closed, was widely praised by Ghanaians, the international community, and development partners. However, the election day witnessed isolated incidents of violence across parts of the country. A shooting incident in Nyankpala, which resulted in the death of a young man, marred what otherwise would have been a smooth process. Despite the growth of the country's democracy, election-related violence remains a significant concern for stakeholders. 8 deaths were recorded in the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana. On December 7th, while voting was ongoing, 4 suspects were arrested in connection with a shooting incident in Ewutu-Senya East. 4 other suspects were involved in another shooting in the Nyankpala area in the Tolon constituency. A day after the elections, police reported the arrest of 12 suspects for looting and causing damage to properties in various parts of the country. At Ewutu-Breku, 4 individuals were arrested for stealing building materials intended for the Agenda 111 hospital project. In Sunyani, 8 people were arrested for attacking the Metro Mass Transit workshop. An angry mob also stormed the premises of the Metro Mass Transit workshop in Sunyani in an attempt to force entry. Their motives remain unclear, but a joint team of police and military dispersed the crowd. An angry mob also stormed the premises of the Ghana Gas Company in Accra in an attempt to force entry into their premises. Their motives remain unclear, but a joint team of police and military personnel dispersed the crowd. Violence also erupted at the Greater Accra Coalition Center during the collation of parliamentary results for the Okake Central, Ablekuma North, and Tamale Central constituencies. In response, police announced additional measures to ensure post-election security. In an interview with Channel One News, security analyst Colonel Festus Abwaje provided historical context to the increasing incidents of violent takeovers and theft after elections.
It started in 2000 when NDC handed over power to NPP. NPP full soldiers did what is happening today. It happened in 2008 and it happened in 2016. In 2016, it went one layer up, that full soldiers, including military, police, civilian, put themselves, marched themselves to Flagstaff House or Jubilee House. And we recall that one police officer was, brutalized or manhandled. People were seizing cars in traffic, over the years when administrations have changed. So that is what is happening. I.e., the national security architecture, the regular one. So because the state was not prepared, it provided that window from Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to evolve into a bit of what we are seeing. Secondly, in all situations, there are people who are opportunists, who exploit loopholes and gaps. So because we don't have the facts, we cannot substantively say that everybody involved is NDC. No, it's possible that there are criminals who are also buying into this narrative.
He also discussed the role of the police in addressing and controlling such situations.
The vice president who called on him is the vice president. He's the chairman of the police council. He works with the president. The Minister of Interior is still in place, albeit having lost his seat. The Minister of Defense is there. Minister of National Security is still in charge until 7. So we expect, per the provisions of the Constitution, that these officials will take responsibility for peace and stability in the country and not share that responsibility to the incoming administration. The perception I have is that the police currently is less inclined towards heavy-handedness. That's what I've seen. During the elections, the police that we saw, their behavior, their conduct, especially at the collation centers where there were disputes, were very, very different from 4 years ago, Techiman South, where men and women in uniform. That's what we saw.
For Colonel Festus Aboagye, it's important to pay attention to the fact that some criminal elements may have taken advantage of the situation to cause and foster trouble. He also called on the police to ensure they address the situation expediently. President-elect His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has also urged for calm amongst party supporters while calling on the police to address the situation. Reporting for Channel One News, Jude Duncan.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's bring you some other stories now. The Ghana Police Service has deployed additional security personnel to combat post-election violence. Over 100 individuals suspected to be members of the National Democratic Congress have engaged in acts of vandalism and ransacking of several targeted state institutions, including the Forestry Commission, the Metro Mass Transit Limited, the Passport Office, among many others. Now, it is the hope of the Ghana Police Service that this additional deployment will intensify security and nip the situation in the bud. Charles Owusukumi reports.
In the wake of the December 7 elections, reports of looting and vandalism at state institutions have increased, with perpetrators alleged to be linked to the NDC. The Ghana Police Service has responded by making arrests and deploying additional personnel to address the unrest and ensure public safety.
We have intensified joint patrols with the other security agencies across the country. We have also deployed our intelligence officers who are roaming through communities looking for perpetrators, and we will arrest every one of them that is involved. Additionally, we have a team of investigators dedicated to reviewing every footage, every picture, every image that we have received in connection with these attacks and acts of lawlessness. And as our review goes on, any person that is identified will be arrested and will be brought to face justice.
Civil society groups and church leaders have called on the IGP to clarify the measures in place to deal with the violence. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete of the Institute of Democratic Governance has voiced confidence in the security services' capacity to restore calm and maintain order.
We were wondering why, with all this levels of violence, even if they are low-key, spreading and so on, we are not seeing the police doing what we thought they used to do in the past. It's a new day and a new dawn and a new approach to tackling electoral violence and post-election violence. The prosecution is certain and they have all the gadgets. Let us educate our people to see, maybe understand the transition processes, the intervals it will take, and why we should not think that the election of a new president and the concessions they've made opens doors for us to be people who take it that it's anarchy and it is for them to do what they are doing.
The officers deployed today will increase police visibility across the country in hope that their presence will deter further looting and vandalism, which is in line with their de-escalation strategy for election security management. From the police headquarters here in Accra, Charles Ozukumi for Channel One News.
Call it a political breakthrough for the National Democratic Congress in the stronghold of the new patriotic party, the Ashanti region, because the party has not only gained additional votes, but it has increased its parliamentary seats in the region. Although the party is still contesting results from some 6 constituencies, claiming it has won those seats as well. Middle Belt Bureau Chief Hafiz Tijani has a wrap of incidents that happened in the December 7 elections in the Ashanti region.
The NPP set an ambitious target of securing 85% of the votes, while the NDC aimed for 35%. Both parties also sought to increase their parliamentary representation in the region, which has 47 constituencies. Before the 2024 elections, the NDC held 4 seats: Aswanse, Edwaset Dumase, New Edubiase, and Setra Afram Plains. The NPP controlled 42 seats, with the remaining 1 occupied by an independent MP from the Formina constituency. In the 2024 elections, the NPP lost 4 constituencies: Adansi Askwa, Adansi Akrofrom, Ahafo Ano South East, and Obuasi East to the NDC. This means the NDC retained its initial 4 seats and gained 4 more. The NDC has also claimed victory in the Ahafo Ano South West and Ahafo Ano North constituencies. Additionally, the party is challenging results in Achumamponia, Obuasi West, Ofinsu North, and Efija Kwabiri North constituencies.
We have maintained all 4 seats: Asawasi, Edwaset Dumase, New Edubiase, and Setra Farm Plains. We have won 4 new seats that have been declared by the EC: Akrofrom, Obuasi East, Adansi Asokwa, and then Ahafo South East. These are the 4. So KT Hammond is no more going to Parliament. So we are going to be relieved of all the comics. So these are the 8 seats as declared by the EC officially. 2 of them are yet to be declared. That is Ahafo South West and Ahafo North, of which we are giving them an ultimatum up to tomorrow by 9 a.m. for them to do the needful. And we have also mentioned that aside these 2, there are 4 of them that have been declared by the EC, but we think that, and we believe that there were some miscalculations with the figures. These constituencies include Ahafo Achumamponia, Efija Kwabiri North, Obuasi West, and Ofinsu South. And in most of these constituencies, Ofinsu North, sorry. In most of these constituencies, you find out that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took a very commanding lead. In Ashanti region, it's not very likely that someone will be voting for a presidential candidate and then will not be voting for our parliamentary candidates. We've done all those analyses and we have been able to trace where the errors came in from, and we will pursue that matter in court once the EC has done the official declaration so far as those 4 seats are concerned.
Low voter turnout, largely due to voter apathy, significantly impacted the NPP's performance in the region. Party leadership has expressed concern over losing key parliamentary seats, including 1 to an independent candidate in the Asante Akim North constituency.
By and large, everything is gone for the presidential one, but as for Ahafo North, we've already won the seat.
Are you concerned about the voter turnout?
Very much concerned. It's very, very bad for us. We go to the drawing board and put our things together for the next election.
And you've lost some seats to the NDC too. Is it a concern to you?
Well, as a political party, it will be of much concern to us. That's why I said that we are going back to the drawing board to put our things together.
In the presidential race, the NPP's 2024 candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, secured 1,366,800 votes, down from Akufo-Addo's 1,795,824 votes in 2020, representing a decline of 429,024 votes. The NDC, meanwhile, increased its votes from 653,149 in 2020 to 697,076 in 2024, marking a gain of 43,927 votes, with the NDC steadily making gains in the MPP stronghold in both presidential and parliamentary elections. Staunch MPP supporters are growing increasingly concerned about this trend.
The leadership of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region says it will in the coming days hold stakeholder engagement to assess the lapses that resulted in the party losing in the Ashanti region. Hafiz Tijani, Channel One News, Kumasi, Ashanti region.
The National Democratic Congress has achieved a sweeping victory in the just ended December general elections in the Western region, securing 15 out of 17 parliamentary seats in the region. Now, for key constituencies that were traditionally held by the New Patriotic Party, including Sekondi, Takwan Swayam, and Esikado Ketan, the NDC has successfully grabbed those seats. My colleague Akosie J. Enim reports to us from the Western region.
In the Western region, over 1.28 million voters were registered to participate in last Saturday's presidential and parliamentary elections across 17 constituencies and 2,738 polling stations. A total of 43 parliamentary candidates contested the elections. Heading into the 2024 elections, the NPP controlled 9 out of the 17 seats and held the advantage in the presidential race from the 2020 elections. However, the results flipped dramatically this year, with the NDC's John Dramani Mahama securing 424,245 votes against Muhammadu Bawumia's 275,231 votes. The NDC made significant gains, claiming 15 seats, while the NPP retained only 2 seats. A major upset was the loss of the Sekondi seat by the Minister for Tourism, Art and Culture, Andrew Ejapamesa, to NDC's newcomer, Blay Nyameke Ama, ending the NPP's 28-year dominance in the constituency.
My party members and those that are not part of my party and then joined us and campaigned for us to win, I would like to thank all of them. One thing I want to tell the Sekondi people is that this win is for all of us. It is not for NDC, it is not for any particular person, but for Sekondi. And we are going to rebuild Sekondi together. We are going to reset Sekondi together. We are going to uplift Sekondi together.
The NPP retained only the Takoradi and the Efia seats, but the latter is being contested by the NDC's Majid Dokurugu. Even the Takoradi seat held by the regional minister, Kwabena Ochedaku-Mensah, saw a significant drop in margin, with just 896 votes separating him from his challenger, down from a margin of over 10,000 votes in 2020. Other notable losses for the NPP include 3 ministerial seats. Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister George Mrikuduka lost the Takwa Nswayam seat to the NDC's Issa Salifu Taylor. Deputy Energy Minister John Abansani lost the Mpoho seat to Godfred Bentel of the NDC. Deputy Minister for Works and Housing Prince Hamid Ama lost the Kwesimintim seat to Philip Fifi Bokman of the NDC. Additionally, the NPP lost key constituencies such as Esikado Ketan, Shama, and Ahanta West. Meanwhile, the NDC retained all 8 of its seats, including Emmanuel Amakofibo's Elembele, as well as Jomoro, Ivalue Ajamorojura, Wasa East, Christian Huni Valley, Amenfi East, West, and Central. In Amenfi Central, Joanna Jan Kujo, wife of Keche Andrews, overcame near disqualification to win with 26,345 votes against the NPP's 12,096.
The results
you could see clearly that Ghanaians have chosen policies over slogans. This time, I think the 24-hour economy stood tall.
For now, it still remains whether the NDC will actually go all out to contest their fair parliamentary constituency results to actually reduce the MPP's only 2 seats that it actually won here in the Western region. For Channel One TV News, I'm Akwesi Jenin. Takrade.
This is the Channel One Newsroom coming to you from the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center. Still ahead in the bulletin. Western Regional Security Council bans vegetable sales as cholera outbreak claims 8 lives with over 780 suspected cases. Please stay for details of this and other stories.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency, the Vice President-elect, Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the Chief of Staff, indeed, let me say, distinguished guests, and stand on existing protocol. I want to thank His Excellency, the President, for his kind invitation this morning to visit the office of the President to discuss preliminary issues before the inauguration of the transition team this morning. I also want to thank him for the early briefing he gave me on issues of critical national importance in respect of national security and the economy. I want to congratulate him on superintending over what has been a successful election, and to congratulate the Security Service, the Electoral Commission, and all those who helped to make this election successful. Our country has done it once again, despite the belief of naysayers, and I believe that Ghana will continue to get it right when it matters the most. Today we're here to inaugurate the Joint Transitional Team as required by law, and I wish to congratulate the members who have been selected or nominated to serve on this Joint Transitional Team. There's huge expectation that this transitional team will get its work right so that we have a seamless and smooth transition of power from one democratically elected government to another. Obviously, this is in fulfillment of the Presidential Transition Act, which was signed into law in 2012 by our late President of blessed memory, Professor John Evan Sata Mills. The law requests that we set up a joint transitional team in a cooperative spirit with mutual respect and openness to the approach of matters during the transition period. The purpose is to achieve a smooth and peaceful transfer of government administration, as I said, from one government to another.
Welcome back to the bulletin. Welcome back to the bulletin. Let's bring you some more stories now. The New Patriotic Party has today been addressing the press on constituencies that still have contested parliamentary results and other post-election matters. Charles Owusukumi was there and has come through with this report.
Although John Mahama has been declared the winner of the December 7 presidential election, disputes over results in some constituencies remain unresolved. Chaos and in some cases violence have erupted at collation centers, heightening tensions. The New Patriotic Party has accused President-elect John Mahama of orchestrating the unrest to secure an advantage.
He ordered them. They take decisions at their party headquarters. He is a leader of their party. and he knows about it. So, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, the General Secretary Fifi Kwete, the National Chairman Mr. Asedun Ketia, these four men, these four gentlemen of this country should know that they are responsible for all the actions of their foot soldiers. All of us are being threatened, all of us are receiving calls, and they know why they are doing that, including members of parliament who are leading these young men.
Afenja Marking, a leading member of the NPP, called on the Electoral Commission to reverse what he described as illegal declarations of parliamentary election results.
We call on the Electoral Commission to take immediate steps to reverse all these illegal declarations. Declarations that were not made out of properly collated results. Intervene. National headquarters should intervene. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission should intervene and respond positively to all the petitions brought before them and address these matters.
The General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kodia, alleged that some NPP members of parliament were held at gunpoint by operatives of the NDC at coalition centers.
In the Greater Accra region, on Monday, December 9, 2024, leading members of the NDC captured and locked up the regional office of the EC, where coalition for several parliamentary elections was ongoing. They chased out state security personnel and brought in tax and subsequently took over the coalition process for Pine Creek Central and Ablekumas North constituencies. Further, as is already known to the public, some of our parliamentary candidates and officials of the EC were either held at gunpoint or physically assaulted at various coalition centers by hoodlums of the NDC to force them to declare results in their favor.
Well, the NPP believes that statements from President-elect John Dramani Mahama and leadership of the NDC are not enough, and that they must go beyond these statements and call their supporters to order. For Channel One News, my name is Charles Osukumi.
To more stories now, the Western Regional Security Council has placed a ban on vendor vegetable sale in an attempt to deal with the increasing cholera outbreak cases in the region. Now, as of December 7, 2024, at least 8 persons have died from cholera and 789 cases more recorded in the region. Ni Aikwe Okai has excerpts of a statement released by the Security Council.
The Western Regional Coordinating Council has announced urgent measures to address the escalating cholera outbreak, which has reached critical levels in the region. As of December 7, 2024, 789 suspected cases and 8 deaths have been recorded across various health facilities. Daily reported cases exceed 60, with Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan and Efia-Kwesiminti municipal areas accounting for 95% of infections. Environmental surveillance investigations reveal that 96% of infections are linked to food vendors, particularly through the sale of contaminated vegetables such as salads, leaves, and green peppers. These findings have prompted immediate action to protect public health. The Western Regional Coordinating Council, through this communique, announces an immediate ban on the sale of vegetables by food vendors in the region. Offenders will face prosecution in accordance with the Public Health Act 2012, Act 851. The ban will remain in place until public health officials confirm the safety of such practices. The general public is strongly advised to avoid purchasing or consuming vegetables from food vendors for their safety. Meanwhile, vegetables purchased for domestic use should be treated properly before use.
Let's bring you some other stories. Now, tensions are rising in the Ashanti region following the unauthorized demolition of some properties belonging to the Ghana Water Limited and the Ghana Union of Water Employees by some private developers. Now, stakeholders have condemned this act and called for immediate government intervention. There's more in the following report by Ashanti regional correspondent Bright Yabwa.
The leadership of Ghana Water Limited has accused the owner of Crystal Rose Hotel and a private developer for demolishing its properties without authorization. At a press conference in Kumasi, Emmanuel Akpoti Kodia, vice chair of the Ashanti Regional Division of Ghana Water Limited, warned that the company might be forced to shut down operations in the region if authorities fail to address the issue.
The Workers' Union of Ghana Water Limited in the Ashanti region has learned with grave concern and outrage about the unlawful destruction of the residences of two of our chief managers by one Madam Rose Hamilton, who is alleged to be the owner of Crystal Rose Hotel. This reprehensible act carried out by a contractor of hers to destroy the bungalows of our directors is one that we cannot allow to go without comment. We also want to sound a note that if the bungalows, the walls that have been pulled down are not put up again within 48 hours.
48 hours.
And I want to repeat that within 48 hours.
48 hours.
If the walls and the broken down properties are not restored, we shall shut down our operations in the Ashanti region.
Yeah! Reliable sources from the Lands Commission suggest that the affected parties were notified in advance as the properties reportedly belong to Otumfuo II and are earmarked for redevelopment with new facilities allocated to affected persons. The Ghana Water Limited and its union have threatened to shut down its operations in the Ashanti region if their calls are not heeded to. For Channel One News, I am Bright Yabwa, Ashanti region.
This is the Channel One Newsroom. Up next is CNR Business with Neteli Neti Ajaho.
CNR Business is brought to you by MTN and EcoBank.
Well, Neteli has joined me with all the details from the world of business. Thank you for joining us. What is happening in the world of business?
Yeah, Adwoa, we know that these past 2 years has been quite challenging for Ghana and the local economy, but this is the third consecutive expansion that we are experiencing, and I think it's good news, but analysts are calling on the incoming government to ensure that they implement or introduce policies that would maintain this expansion that we are experiencing.
Give us the rest of the details.
Okay. Hello and welcome to CNR Business. It's proudly brought to you by MTN and EcoBank. My name is Neteli Neti Ajaho. Now, Ghana's economy expanded by 7.2% in the third quarter of 2024. This according to provisional data from the Ghana Statistical Service. This marks a steady improvement from the 6.9% growth recorded in the second quarter. There's more on the following report by Daniel Sakite.
This is the third consecutive time that Ghana's economy is recording a positive growth trajectory. The first quarter of 2024 witnessed an expansion of 4.7%, and the second quarter also recorded a growth rate of 6.9%, the fastest rate in 5 years, boosted by expansion in several key sectors, including the extractive sector. In the third quarter of 2024, information and communications, crops, construction and manufacturing emerged as the main drivers of GDP growth. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kwabena providing further breakdown of the data.
In current terms, in the third quarter of 2024, the economy stood at 270 billion Ghana cedis relative to 207 billion Ghana cedis that was recorded for the third quarter of 2024. In In constant terms, in the third quarter of 2024, the economy stood at 48.2 billion Ghana cedis relative to 45.0 billion Ghana cedis that was recorded in the third quarter of 2024, indicating a 3.2 billion Ghana cedis increase between the third quarter of 2023 and the third quarter of 2024. With this GDP estimate in constant terms, the economy in the third quarter of 2024 grew by 7.2%. This means that between the third quarter of 2023 and the third quarter of 2024, Ghana's economy expanded by 7.2%. This is relative to the 2.2% growth rate that we saw in the third quarter of 2023. Discounting the effect of oil, in current terms, the economy stood at 254 billion Ghana cedis in constant terms relative to 194 billion Ghana cedis that was recorded for the same time period in the third quarter of 2023.
This economic rebound is a positive sign for Ghana as it demonstrates resilience and potential to develop across key sectors. For CNR Business, my name is Daniel Sakiti.
Moving on, as the holiday season fast approaches, the global trend of sending remittances to family members back home is set to peak. For many Ghanaians living abroad, supporting loved ones during the festive season is a tradition. Today, we take a closer look at how remittance companies are preparing for their busiest time of the year and the impact this influx of funds has on Ghana's local economy. My colleague Emmanuel Opong has more on the following report.
Remittance flows have long been a critical source of financial support for many Ghanaians, especially during Christmas, when families traditionally exchange gifts and share meals. This is the time of the year when many people abroad prioritize sending money back home. Tharo Koku Mauto Abraham is the head of Tap Tap Send Africa, a leading money transfer company, and he shares insight on the trends driving this seasonal surge.
In January, you see a reduction in money sending, but December by far, the Christmas period by far, is the largest send season for Ghana specifically, right? That is different to some other countries, but for Ghana specifically, Christmas, you get something like a 20% bump on the regular month that you get on every single December. We've seen that for the last 3 years and for the last 4 years. And this December is no different. This December is looking very likely to be a very similar trend that we see, so it's no different.
Given the current exchange rate volatility and inflationary pressures, remittance inflows cushions Ghana's economy to remain resilient in the face of global challenges.
Remittance flows are super important to the country, to Ghana, right? So Ghana receives something like 4.7 to 5 billion in remittances. GDP for Ghana is about 76 billion. Okay, you do the maths, it's about sort of 6%-ish, right? So remittance plays a huge impact. And remittance is such that the foreign exchange flows that come from remittance is bigger than a lot of the other sources we have for foreign exchange, right? Much, much bigger. So it's over 50% of all the remittances we get of the foreign exchange supplies and inflows into Ghana. So remittance plays a huge role, and I think we should not downplay it. We should work with people. Everybody who is outside should be encouraged to send money back home because it helps the economy.
While electronic platforms and fintech companies are gaining dominance within the remittance ecosystem, market watchers have called for collaboration between the regulator and players to ensure the country gains full benefit from these inflows. For CNR Business, I am Emmanuel Opong.
That's all for CNR Business. It was proudly brought to you by MTN and EcoBank. My name is Nete Ajahu. Have a good evening.
CNR Business was brought to you by MTN and EcoBank.
Hey guys, so I got this app. It's called Ayoba. It's a chat app that helps me with beauty tips and cooking tips. A super app that feeds me music and the latest sports content. I even use it for my studies. And the good news is I don't need to use my data bundle because I'm on MTN. Chale, the app just did be.
Ayoba, the all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, read, play, pay, and listen
Use Ayoba at no data cost on MTN. Download Ayoba now.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm in rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number.
And that'll be all for today's edition of the Channel One Newsroom, which came to you from the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center. A gentle reminder to you that this is the Election Bureau. You can follow us for comprehensive and timely coverage of all issues related to the 2024 general election. My name is Adwoa Tenkoramaa Domena. Many thanks for watching.